Hello, everyone. You all can hear me, right? Okay, great. Well, thank you, Chairman sir, thank you, Principal ma'am, for the opportunity, and thank you for that overwhelming introduction. And hello, children. Hope you all can hear me. Okay. Okay. So, quick introduction. I am Varun. I am the founder and CEO at OTP. OTP is a fruits and vegetable service where we move fresh produce from farm to home in as little as 12 hours. Broadly, the thesis behind OTP is that we are dealing with perishable produce, perishable produce that degrades every hour. And the fundamental thesis that we follow is that the more quickly we can move it from harvest to home, the better freshness we can provide to our consumers, the more nutritional value we can provide to our consumers. And along the way, there is an additional big benefit that we can make in the ecosystem, that is reducing wastages. So, see, broadly in fruits and vegetables, why do we incur wastages? Wastages happen when produce is stocked. So, if a produce is kept at a store for a day, a lot of it will not be edible the following day. But if you move it quickly and you don't give it the time to degrade, you can save on wastages big time. And just to give you a perspective, in our supply chain, we have using our AI-enabled prediction, we have been able to reduce wastages by as much as 10 times, where the conventional supply chain sees 30% odd in wastages, we see 3% in wastages. So that is the impact that we have created. So in terms of benchmarks, we have the lowest wastages in the industry. We have the fastest farm to home timeline in the industry. And in terms of scale, if you think about it, we move about 150 tons of fruits and vegetables every day to more than 30,000 consumers every day. And if you just, calculate the wastages, which is about 30%, so that is about almost 15 times 3, that is almost 45 tons in food wastage that we save every day. Um, so that is about the business. We do about 250 odd crores annualized. Now, let me use this opportunity to, walk you through my journey. And along the way, I'm, hopeful that, there'll be a thing or two that, I can probably pass on to you. So starting from, childhood. So my dad was in the Indian Foreign Services. So we used to spend about, 3 years abroad in a foreign country where he would be working at the embassy there. And then we would spend about 3 years in India, and the cycle would repeat. So when we were posted abroad, my dad was a diplomat, so we were like representatives of India in that country. So we got a lot of privileged treatment as a diplomat, separate queues, automatic upgrades in airlines, and so on and so forth. But when you're in India, you're like anyone else. So one thing which was a constant challenge as a student was that whenever we used to move, like from abroad, back here or back here to abroad, we had to adapt because it was a big change, right? This, one is just in terms of the privileges that come with being a diplomat, but even if you look at it in terms of school. So, for example, I did my 6th to 9th grade in Vienna, Austria, with white kids, and um, it was pretty different. See, the schooling was not as tough. It was much easier. We didn't have Hindi. I was learning German and French, and the curriculums were very different. So my social sciences or my history would cover more European history, and less of Indian history. So lots of differences and challenges. And when I moved back in my 9th grade from Vienna to India, uh, I obviously had to do Hindi, but I hadn't studied Hindi in like good 3-4 years. So I failed, and then I gave my social sciences, and I failed again. So that is the kind of challenges that you have to deal with. And then to top it up, someone told me that in 10th grade you should take up Sanskrit because you get good marks. And यहाँ तो हिंदी नहीं आती अच्छे से, what do you do with Sanskrit, right? So anyway, that was that. Had to adapt to the changes in the system, the changes in the curriculum, and eventually when I gave my 11th and 12th, I prepared for my engineering entrances. So touch wood, everything worked fine. I secured good ranks in I would say all of the engineering entrance exams, and most of them I was top 10 at an all India level. So that is one successful journey of a successful adaptation to change. Now let me take you through another journey. So after studying 4 years at IIT, I went to the US. Specifically, I was in California, Silicon Valley, and there I got exposed to the world of startups, and that was fascinating. So I saw a lot of startup ideas being made on paper napkins, people getting funded. And what was beautiful about this whole thing was that when I just thought about it, I was like, you get to solve a great problem, you get to create a lot of value for the people that are working with you, you get to create a lot of value for your investors, and you get to create a lot of wealth also. I was like, what can be greater than this? And that is what exposed me to the world of startups. And then I started my first company. It was called Virtual Technologies. And let me brief you on the idea and what it was all about. So, see, this is 2004, 2006. Mobile phones were becoming very, very powerful. So they were just starting. The mobile phones were becoming colored. Not the kind of phones that you see today. And for some of you who might have heard about those times, I'm talking about phones like the Motorola Razr, the Nokia 6600, the old school kind of phones. So data connectivity had just started. Phones were becoming colored, and we figured that these are the devices that are going to be the main or the primary devices of content consumption in the future, which is true today, right? Today, hardly a majority of us browse our internet on these devices, which are like the phones. So let's try to reimagine the internet once more. Um, so back when I was working on my first company, Workle, the thought process was that let's reimagine the internet in a world where instead of PCs, mobile phones came first. So think of the case where the mobile devices came first. There's no PC. How would the internet have evolved? Would HTML as a programming construct be still the same, or would it be totally different? And that is what prompted us to design our own markup language, just like HTML, which was for the smaller devices. We called it the wireless action markup language. And then we developed a translation engine which would translate HTML content to that specific markup language that we had designed for mobile devices. We got this technology patented in the US. We got the patent issued. And then we had a lot of companies who started to approach us that, can you get our specific use cases optimized or made for mobile devices, which were conventionally only for PCs. As an example, think of a sales force, which is continuously out there in the field, right? And they want to update sales data. So can you make their system, which conventionally works on a PC, and make it available on the small screens of phones? And revenue started to kick in, and we were in business. So that is, how Workle started, and the revenue grew and so on and so forth. Now, in 2008, 2009, the iPhone came, the Android came. And they had their own way of browsing the internet where you could pinch and zoom and so on and so forth, right? So increasingly, as Android and iPhone became more and more popular, the relevance of our technology gradually declined. And in 2011, we decided to exit the company. Uh, it was, a few $1 million exit that we did to a Silicon Valley company called Location Labs. And, this is a case of a specific case where, we at the company or, as a team could not adapt ourselves to the changes that were happening in the world. So this is, I gave you a case where, we could adapt, and now, this is a case where we could not adapt. Now let's fast forward a little. Let me talk you through my current company. So started this about 7 years ago. The idea was very simple, as I described to you in the beginning. So we said that fresh produce is perishable, and most e-commerce that existed at the time, and I was the CTO of Grofers at the time, were not enough to handle fresh produce. And that was our thesis of the business. So when we started my current company, it was very simple. We said, we are going to procure from the farmers. We are going to deliver it to businesses, small businesses. That was the starting point. And along the way, we would, so we tried multiple iterations of this where we would deliver to businesses which were hotels or restaurants or caterers. Then we would deliver this to small retail outlets. Then, we would deliver this to organized players like a big bazaar or like a big basket and so on and so forth. So, we tried this for 3-4 years. The model was working fine. The business was growing. What we did not see was sustainability, in the sense that the margins that were there in the supply chain did not, allow it to sustain. We were losing money. It was a tough spot. Every few months we would run out of funds. We would somehow speak with, venture capitalists and, get a couple of more months to run the show. So it was a, constant juggle for funds. And then to top it up, what happened was that, some of our competitors at the time, like Ninja Cart, etc., they would raise like $100 million, right? So it was a very tough spot. So here, we are trying to juggle with a model where, the sustainability didn't seem in sight. We are losing money every day. And then, there are the bigger players who are, loaded with capital. So after 3 to 4 years of running, we decided to what we call this a pivot in the startup world, where we said that instead of doing, farmers to businesses, we said, why don't we do farmers to consumers? The fundamental thesis didn't change. We were still doing a 12-hour farm to home. And when we did that, and after morphing the model, the consumer feedback that we got was pretty awesome. So the kind of difference in the freshness of the produce was something that, so many consumers appreciated. And over time, we, grew the business first within Gurgaon, then Delhi, then Noida, and we gradually expanded to NCR. And as the business grew more and more, we attracted, a lot of venture money as well. So we have raised more than $40 million till date as a business. And what was beautiful about this whole thing was that because of the savings and wastage that we did, we could pay our farmers more, so we could increase their incomes. Because of this savings and wastage, we could give competitive prices to our consumers, so that also worked beautifully. And along the way, we saved so much in food wastages. So, the whole thing started to play out and pan out, very well. And today, as I mentioned to you, we do about 250 crores in business. We are in Delhi NCR, we are in Bombay. and the business continues to grow very well. So this is a case of successful adaptation to the change in market environment. And I want to with these three examples, I want to leave a message to you all. So see, I'm a big believer in Darwin's theory, where he says that the species that lasts the longest is the one that evolves the fastest. And I gave you three examples where, in one case, I was able to evolve as an individual. Other case, we were not able to evolve as a company, and a third case, we again were able to evolve as a company. So, in the world today, right? They say change is the only constant. But I think in the world today, change is actually accelerating. The pace or the rate of change is unlike as it has been ever before. If you take examples of how much time it took television to propagate in the world, and then if you compare that with the time that it took for smartphones to propagate in the world, it is orders of magnitude faster. So in such a world, where change is so rampant, right? We all know the whole AI phenomena which is coming up and how it is impacting how people are working. Talk about the electric revolution, right? A lot of mechanical engineering that goes into designing the petrol engines or the diesel engines, right? Over a period of time, we don't know, with more and more electric coming, how relevant that will be. So what I would like to urge you all is that obviously you're in a very early phase of your life, and along the way, as you step into school, as you step into jobs or wherever you work, be constantly apprised of the fact that you need to continuously evolve, you need to continuously learn, because the world around you is continuously changing. And in the end, I'll leave you back with that same statement, that the species or the students or the people that evolve the fastest will last. Thank you.